Hello, everybody. This is Anish Verma, and you're listening to the Empower Your Mind for Success podcast, a podcast for anyone who wants to build an entrepreneurial mindset. I wanted to begin this podcast by asking you guys a question. Have you ever heard a statement that kind of when you heard it, you sat up, made a note of the sentence, but didn't think much about it and moved on in your life. And then maybe later that sentence reappeared and helped you connect some of the dots in your past or why you do certain things the way you do. Some of the proverbs from ancient cultures are some of the sentences that now I notice a lot, given that I'm doing so much research on this entrepreneurial topic, right? And some of them are, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Heard that I guess since forever. A very apt sentence, very apt proverb. Does it apply for today's lifestyle context? Some may say yes, some may say no. But it's like, yeah, if you sleep early, wake up early, it will make you healthy. Health is wealth. It will also give you a lot of time to think and act, and that may also lead to a lot of money that you can make, and hence you will become wealthy, right? It's all, after all, subjective. Be careful what you wish for, the famous Chinese proverb, right? Nowadays people use content is king. Everybody's trying to create content. So under that, under these proverbs or quotes kind of a thing, there was one I heard recently from Paul Martinelli, and Paul Martinelli is one of my mentors. I learn a lot from him, and he said that if content is king, context is kingdom. Now, when I heard this sentence, I was really surprised, startled. I took a note of it, and I kind of tried to reflect on it. And then, when I was in about 2007, 8, 9 time frame, I was working for a client. And that client spoke a lot about context, right? He said, look, when we design this part, it is under this context, and it is under this perspective, under this use case. And he used the word context a lot. And I've been hearing this specifically in the professional world also a lot, right? And basically, what does context mean? It means circumstances, situation, someone's surroundings, the environment, all those things, right? So if content is king, context is kingdom, which means that any content being created, if not understood in the context which it was being created, is meaningless, right? So, and our children, when growing up, don't always understand the context, right? We tell them, hey, you are too small, you wouldn't understand. But the next day we would be telling, hey, you are big enough to complete this task. And the child would say, hey, yesterday, mom and dad, you told me I'm small. Today you're telling me you're big, right? So they don't always understand the context and argue with parents. And it's difficult for parents also to explain this. And I remind my children that, context is very important. When you see an ad, when you see something on television, you just can't take it at face value without understanding the context. Some of the advertisements that were shot in the 1950s, 60s may not apply today, but they are available on YouTube. And even though children know that it is older, they might take it out of context or may not understand the circumstances in which those ads were shot. Maybe there was a world war going on, maybe there was a disease going on in the world, right? So people always need to understand the context and then consume the content. Now, why am I narrating this kind of story to you guys is it applies a lot in the entrepreneurial world. And when I heard the sentence from Paul Martinelli, I was kind of reflecting back on how that sentence applied very specifically to me, and I'm pretty certain it will apply to a lot of my listeners out there as well. So a few years ago, right, and most of you know that I have spent a lot of money on businesses, and I've had a lot of learning moments or failures, right? I had 5 failed businesses before I realized that there were certain secrets and certain behavior patterns that successful people have and apply and know, and that is what makes them successful, and the business doesn't matter. I thought, if I failed at this business, the business is not good enough or is not valid in these days, but that's not the case. So when I was looking at infomercials in the night on television or reading some ad on the internet, one of the things that most of these business owners who are very successful at what they did always said, look, if I can do it, anybody can do it, right? That was one of the selling sentences or statements that they would kind of punctuate at the end or during the commercial, trying to demonstrate that this is a no-brainer business, and anybody can learn and do it, right? And when I heard that reassured me of my belief that yes, if that guy can do it, I can do the business. I'm much more educated. I'm much more smarter. I know much more about businesses. But all those that kind of an attitude made me fall on my face, and I failed in all those business ventures, right? Because in the entrepreneurial world, it's very different. And that's why I wanted to talk about content and context and the proverbs, right? So when someone says, look, if I can do it, you can do it, that's true, and can be stretched a little bit, right? And most of these business owners are not trying to scam the listener or the viewer, right? They are really demonstrating a lot of references, lot of testimonies that, hey, look, I took this person, he was struggling, I helped him, he became successful using my system or using my coaching or using in this business. And some business owners say, look, don't do network marketing, don't do direct marketing, don't do startups, just do affiliate marketing. And whoever you want to talk to, everybody talks about their business more highly as compared to the other. And I was like, if that guy succeeded in this business, but not in that means he's good, or he's more skilled at that business, or there is something more to it that doesn't meet the eye, right? So when someone says, if I can do it, you can do it too, it is true. I take it at face value. It is true. But under what context? When someone says, I can do it, fair enough. Is this your first business or is this your 51st business? How many more failures have you had in the past? Yes, I understand that you are helping me to shortcut the path to success, and you're teaching me of how to avoid the mistakes you made. I'm doing the same thing on this podcast by sharing certain things with the listeners about entrepreneurship and the mindset that you need to have so that you can shortcut your pathway to success. Of course, you are going to make mistakes. Of course, you are going to have failures. Of course, you're going to have setbacks. That's what life is. We all have that in our life. But instead of repeating some mistakes, why not make your own which are new, right? So when someone says that I can do it, what is their context? That is what you need to understand. And when you realize, or when you are aware that you first need to understand the context under which the content is being provided, you will be much more effective in understanding the entire commercial or the information and consume it in a different way than just getting carried away in the heat of the moment at that time. Right? And then realizing later, I don't know why it didn't work for me. Maybe you don't have the right mindset. Maybe this is not the business for you. Maybe your strengths do not align with this business. Maybe, your why, your burning desire is not strong enough for that kind of business, right? Maybe that is not something you like to do, right? So there are a lot of things that you need to understand, that we all need to understand about ourselves. What are our strengths? What is our burning desire, right? Do we understand the core principles of how the laws of the universe work, right? We need to understand ourselves. We also need to understand the context under which the person is providing information. And then when you combine these things and you know the entrepreneurial success formula, then when you combine all these things and connect the dots, the business will be successful for you too, provided that is the business that you want to do. See, I have always been a big proponent of worrying about your why. The how and the what is not as consequential. Actually, it doesn't matter at all. You need to worry about the why and the who. What is your burning desire, and who can lead the way for you? Who can mentor you? Who can you pay to make sure that you succeed? Right? That is what you need to worry about. If you worry about the why and the who, your why, how and what will be taken care of itself. Now, what kind of business is the what? But at the same time in this podcast, I'm telling you that you need to be aware of the what. I'm not saying what I'm trying to say is, yes, that what doesn't matter, the business doesn't matter. It is true, but you also need to understand the context under which you are getting and hearing this information, right? Then the content becomes king if the context is understood, right? Because if something has worked for someone else does not mean it will work for you, right? If you pay that person thousands of dollars and he has that kind of a coaching program, he can then help you, but then you have to have complete faith. Faith is one of the other aspects of the entrepreneur success formula that every entrepreneur uses. You need to have faith in the system, in the process, and you need to believe in yourself. Right? There are multiple aspects of the secret that all entrepreneurs use, which form the success formula, and I'll share that with you in one of the podcasts. But first, understand the context, then consume content, and before you apply that content to yourself, you need to understand your strengths. You need to understand whether you have the mindset to be an entrepreneur. And if you don't, then I can help. That is where I can help. That is where my students are learning and receiving the right coaching from me to build that entrepreneur's mindset. And then it will not matter what business you are trying to do, as long as you apply the content under your context and connect the dots with your strength and the mentors who can help you achieve your goals. Only then you can accelerate your path towards your dreams and goals. Only then you can achieve your financial freedom. There are multiple pieces to the puzzle that everybody does not have the time to share on a 5-minute, 10-minute, 30-minute infomercial, right? And people usually share about what the business is and how they did it to become successful. Nobody covers you as a subject who needs to understand yourself and your strengths, right? So I believe this is helpful. Remember, the content is king, but you need to understand the context. Context is kingdom. I hope this has added more value to your understanding, and I hope when you are watching infomercials or reading ads on Facebook or watching them on YouTube, you can apply this awareness and consume the content. Remember, you have unlimited potential. Own it. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.